Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. My dear and respected brothers and sisters, thank you for watching this. This is another part of the series under the theme of Da'wah for Japanese if you wish to contribute to it. The question, what are the lessons learned from Japanese Buddhism? What can we learn from Japanese Buddhism? The answer for that is how they accustomed the principles of their religious teachings into their needs in their reality, or in another way of saying, how they were inclusive in their religious activities rather than exclusive. As you know, Buddhism started in India and reached to Japan through China and Korea. But ever since Buddhism reached to Japan, Buddhists in Japan, they have always been making the efforts to come up with their second best because of facing so many different realities between Japan and India. So they had to come up with the second best solution, not the original ones. So therefore, for example, like eating meats, drinking alcohol, getting married, all of those are forbidden things in the original teachings of Buddhism. However, in Japan, those Buddhist monks themselves, they have developed their own philosophies to make it halal, make it acceptable, make it to justify those forbidden things in its original sense. But that having said, so here we have a link to Japanese religion and how I made a caution that we Muslims need to be careful about not to make Islam as one of them, like the branch of or sect of Islam under the Japanese religion. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. There are big 13 sects, 13 branches in Japanese Buddhism, starting from the period of Nara, Risshu, Kegon-shu, Hossou-shu, and then Heian period, Tendai-shu, Shingon-shu, Yuzu Nembutsu, then Kamakura period, Hokke-shu, Jodo-shu, Jodo-shin-shu, Jishu, Rinzai-shu, Soto-shu, and then finally in the Edo period, Obakushu. In short, in my understanding, those different 13 sects, what are the features? Each of them is that how those founders, Japanese Buddhist monks, focused on different teachings among the teachings of Buddha or the books in Buddhism. Here, another lesson for us Muslims, how we can take pride in positive way in our belief, how Quran is authentic. In my understanding, there is none other than Quran which is more authentic, right? But books in Buddhism, they came to become the shapes of books or compiled as books only after 5 centuries, 500 years. So you know how authentic it is. But of course, all those Japanese Buddhist monks took all the books named after as teachings of Buddha seriously, and they believed in them and studied them very hard and so on. But because the nature of Buddhism, how it came to Japan and how it spread, was that it started from the top to bottom. So the benefit takers from Buddhism in Japan, it's in the beginning period, were all those elites and people in authorities, not ordinary common people. So when people faced so much difficulties in their life, especially the Kamakura period, when they suffered a lot from natural disasters, poverty, disease, sick, and so much sufferings, all those good-hearted Japanese Buddhist monks, they had to come up with some solutions, I guess. Imagine they had asked themselves, yes, we have learned a lot of teachings of Buddha, but what are we doing in the mountain? We're training here, we're learning a lot here, but what can we contribute in saving the people? So they had to come up with some solutions, and then each one of them, they sticked to one particular teaching among the teachings of the Buddha. For example, the founder of the Hokkeshu, Nichiren, he stick to the principle of the importance of daimoku, mentioning the name of the book, saying, I submit myself to Book of Hokke, saying, Nammyo Horenge Kyo, I submit myself to the excellent Book of Hokke. Just to our easy understanding sake, I would exemplify that to saying like, for us Muslims to mention, I submit myself to the Quran. I submit myself to the Quran. I submit myself to the Quran. So Nichiren stick to the principle that we can be saved from all kinds of troubles and we can attain the salvation just by mentioning this phrase. You see, I submit myself to the book of Hokke. And another one, Honen, focused on the importance of Nembutsu, that is the mentioning the name of Buddha or saying I submit myself to Amida Buddha and his disciple, his student, founder of the Jodo Shinshu, the true teaching of the Pure Land Buddhism. He stick to the point of no, we can only be saved by the mercy of the Buddha, mercy of the Amida Buddha, and so on. And another Dogen, who was the founder of Sotoshu, he said, Shikantaza, we just need to sit and meditate. That action itself is the salvation, is the nirvana, and so on. So it's like, for some scholars of Islam to come up and say, you know what, the true teaching of Islam is in Al-Fatiha, so we just need to stick with Al-Fatiha. And the other come up and say, no, it's in the chapter of Ar-Rahman, Surah Ar-Rahman, so we just need to stick to it. No, the other said, no, it's in the chapter of Al-Ikhlas, Qul huwa Allah ahad, so we just need to stick to it. Yeah, just to make an example out of those factors, something like that. So what they did was to face and react and answer, to bring the teachings of Buddhism closer to the people. Here, what can we learn? Of course, we Muslims, even here in Japan, we are not in need of creating any sect whatsoever. A'udhu billah. We don't want that. We don't need that. But perhaps if we were to take some wisdoms from these religious factors, from religions which spread into the hearts of Japanese people throughout the history, maybe we can say that we may have set some period and we can plan from time to time which kind of teachings among the teachings of Islam that we should focus on for conveying its message to the people here. Because of course the prophetic way of starting the propagation is to teach, to let people know about Tawheed. Yes, no doubt. But with my astaghfirullah azim, the humble understanding here, if we do that theological way, I'm not sure if that approach would really reach the hearts of Japanese or not, because they are very emotional people, not people driven by the reasoning. No matter how we focus on telling them about the Tawheed theologically or logically, it may not appeal to them. So it could be wise enough for us to add, not to negate the importance of delivering the message of Tawheed, no, but to add aspects of how merciful Allah is, how life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was full of mercy and wisdom, and how inclusive he was, and so on. So let's be positive in taking any, inshallah, beneficial wisdom from the historical religious factors of Japanese Buddhism. May Allah guide us, and thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you all. Jazakumullah khairan wa barakallah fikum. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.